All right, good afternoon, traders. LordSeanConnery here for Nostradamus, and coming at you with the Friday, September 19th, 2025, end of the week. Going to look at the intraday on CL and ES, as well as discuss the weekly trade. Okay, first thing, let's go ahead and do CL. Go ahead and blow this chart up. In the overnight, from yesterday, we had a, neutral day, both the IB high and the low broken, closing out of the IB range. This is something called a neutral extreme day. Generally, with a neutral extreme day, we expect the market to go lower, and that's exactly what the overnight did. We set a high, a low, a lower high, a crazy lower low, and then another lower high. These highs are at 35, 26, 63, 22, and the high of today is 63.20. When the numbers came on out, there was around 7:45, that's around this time, there was some decent action off of this, one of the inflections. It looked pretty decent to take along just to see what would go on. There was this action in the overnight which looked like it was trying to really work its way lower with no resolve, and this really nice move up, even despite the lower high. It could have been a pullback to maybe go higher, at least to test inflection 2. That was the idea behind the trade. Took the entry. The entry was 86, risk 76, 3 ticks below. It got risk off. It missed the fill of the gap. 63.03 was the low of the day. It topped out at 63.02 before reversing. So that was basically a scale, risk off, and a scratch. The open was near the highs, and it just came right on through. Didn't respect this level, so longs were off the table. What would have been nice is if this actually came into this zone and struggled and gave an entry. That would have been a nice short, but it didn't do that. It actually just reversed right on off. Later on in the session, we formed a double bottom IB low at 62.59. There was some decent absorption here, which kind of caught my eye, and it was against the overnight low. One of my favorite trades to do is to fade one of the overnight lows or one of the overnight levels for the other. Here, the overnight low was 62.54. There was a 62.64 entry, risk 54. It's 10 ticks. And the reason why I took that is 63.35 was a great distance. From 62.64 to 63.35, that's about 70 ticks. 70 ticks, risk 10. That's a phenomenal R factor. And that does happen from time to time in oil or in any instrument, really. If you could fade one of the overnight levels to go for the other, there's no stat on how often it works out, but it's worth a shot. This one just kind of got nowhere. It came in and still was capped by lower highs. Came in again. I didn't reload. I just let the trade go in terms of, all right, if it's going to get stopped out, it's going to get stopped out. Especially after the double bottom, I expected this to actually kind of even make a lower high and then just get cut through. No, what actually did is it squeezed. It squeezed on up and it broke the IB high. And so then I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe this long does have legs. Maybe I'll get the overnight high. Nope, denied. Just like that Sue Zorman broad on the financial show when people are asking, hey, should I go ahead and open up a credit card or, take out a fucking loan to pay for some crack? Like, nope, she just smacked it down. Denied. Bam. This ran through, broke the IB high, pissed through the over-under, and it looks like it was squeezing it, just ran out of gas. Up here, it shot straight up, and it shot straight back down. So all my dreams of hitting the overnight high were torn asunder. I only had a runner on, and I wasn't looking at this because I was focused on ES, and my stop got hit. That was really stupid on my part. I should have actually managed it a little better, maybe like move up a stop, but I was also engaged on ES. That is the toil of that is the first world problem of trading multiple instruments. Sometimes you can be so immersed in one that you forget to manage the other. So that deserves a good kick in the fucking nuts into my nutsack for today. Finally we come in, break the IB low, forming another neutral day. Oh my God, all these fucking neutral days on CL are just amazing. Comes into inflection 2, pisses right through it like a knife through hot butter. Gives no entry. There was some exhaustion here, and there was some really decent, interesting buying. Collision of resting liquidity that just popped in, and then it just came on up. Closed single prints, and it just meandered around, couldn't get back into the IB range, and closed near the lows, thus forming another neutral extreme down day. This is not great for CL, so looking into next week, if there's any kind of movement back up, it might be shortable. This is not a trading recommendation. This is just what I see and what the market is kind of telling me from the auction. This didn't really respect levels. This respected it in the pre-market, and then no, it just got fucked. So this level not being respected either from as support or resistance, it was just something to ignore. And there really wasn't anything here. Even looking back, there was nothing in terms of this was tested and then a pullback and like a lower high with weakness. There was no ability to hop on this and say, oh yeah, I'm going to go for new fucking lows. No. So CL definitely very tricky on the intraday. All right, let's talk about ES. ES was triple witching day. Triple witching, which is futures, options on futures expire, all this other good stuff. The market had a really decent run up, and these are the levels for the RTH. It didn't include the overnight. Didn't see anything interesting that I wanted to comment on. But when the levels were released 5 minutes before the open, there was a really good signal to short. My friend and I, we went ahead, Mohammed, who is also part of Nostradamus, he's a co-founder. We took the 1150 short, risk 2 points, basically a point above 1250. Decent amount of risk, 2 points. You want your risk tighter than a nun's fucking asshole because, the looser the risk, the further your targets have to be to get risk off. And the lower R factor. So anything that you could play super tight risk, go for it. This thing came in, knocked into the over-under, got a scale, came back in, and came into the inflection 1 area. Didn't tag it to the tick, but started to show some sort of reversing action in terms of, maybe this will stabilize and head higher to take the overnight high out. Because, the overnight levels are high 90s % chance of being taken out in a session. So there was a long, killed the short. I got 2 targets. That's enough. Over here, I really wasn't interested in keeping the short when I saw this type of action with the blast through and then the pullback. There's a long that was taken here. It got some targets, got the over under again, and here was holding on for the overnight high. It just didn't make it. And we started to get some really crazy balancing action. And on Fridays, I get exhausted and I just kind of lose myself in terms of, trying to keep the eye on the bigger picture. And a lot of balancing action made some really poor trades that were in here. I was doing some scalps, trying to get, risk off and carry something. Nope, scalp, risk off, stop. Scalp, risk off, stop. Scalp, stop. And it was very frustrating. We eventually broke the IB low. There was some news from President Trump and President Xi's meeting about TikTok and tariffs and all this other shit that shot the market up. So here, when the IB low broke and we got that news off this inflection, I felt, all right, maybe that is going to be the entry to get to the overnight high. There's a pullback to the IB low. That's a pretty standard kind of setup where the IB low breaks and then comes back in and retests it. That can be a trade, at least for, back toward the middle, which was 67.05 at the time. That was the full session VPOC. This thing came in, got an entry, got risk off, and it made this 1 tick lower high. And thinking to myself, are you fucking kidding me? One tick lower high, that's all you need to scare out some of the local traders that, when they see that, they feel like they're so close to the goal line to make a win, to gain some ground, and they couldn't even do it by a tick. So what do? They say, fuck it, let's get the fuck out of here. Also, Fed Speaker Byron was talking, and the market was really grinding down. Some more news kind of made this little pop up here. This is a setup in some trading groups where you have a lower low and then a reversion, not a reversion, but a pullback to the IB low. This could have been like a nice setup for a short. I wasn't interested in that because, a lot of this work that is done during these triple witching, especially when we're in balance against yesterday, we kind of opened on the highs of balance, came back in. I was interested in looking at a reversion. Comes into inflection 2 on the dot at 66.87 and a quarter, and there was some stalling here with very light volume, almost like the market ran out of gas. Took the position 2 ticks higher at 66.87.75. I had a point below at 66.25 for risk, so 6 ticks of risk total, or 1.5 points of risk on the position. I quickly put out my order to get some risk off, instantly got it. And then it just started sailing. This thing started to squeeze. It was actually quite nice. It felt like, instead of, I could have just done the ostrich approach and took a short here, got this target eventually, and then somehow got this target and reversed it. That's what the bookends trade is. It's you use these inflection to most efficient price spots to take reversion trades or spots where the market's likely going to make the low or likely going to make the high. This thing, I only expected this to go back into the VPOC and kind of settle because we broke, the IB low. No, this thing busted this, ran right through here, ran right through the open, and also there was no sign of any gas being done on the open. Was able to take a runner to the IB high. I didn't think I'd get the overnight high. I just front ran it and called it a day. Nope, this thing went higher, took out the overnight high by 1.5 points, pulled back a little bit, and just kept grinding. At the last hour, or like the last 45 minutes of the session, this thing just blew. And it took out inflection 2. It didn't really create any sort of trade. This is like the last 2 minutes of the session. Not something that I'm going to take, but this is just super fast action, and it came back on in. This is a neutral extreme high, neutral extreme up day for the ES, which is telling us, all right, maybe next week we're going to get some even more action to the upside. Feels like the market's on crack cocaine, steroids, and whatever the hell it's doing for uppers, because it's impressive. It's pretty crazy. This one trade really saved me on some of the stop outs, and there's some full stops that I took, and it just, what was I doing here? I don't know. Again, Friday, sometimes I take off Fridays. I say, fuck it, I'm just going to do some gaming or, hit the gym, get out and get some sun in sunny fucking Houston, Texas, which is hotter than Hades right now. But no, I decided to take Friday, trade it, and of all days, triple witching Friday. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking about. Whatever. Anyways, that was the action today. Really beautiful quant levels, I must say. These are quite impressive. Now I want to go on over the weekly trade. So the weekly trade, I'm going to kind of bring up on this editor. Let's see if I got these pages saved. There we go. All right. Tricky thing about the weekly trade was that we had some contracts that were switched over. So the first picture, let's see. This is the V contract. So the red zones are 20 ticks wide on each side. So 40 ticks total, very wide. The opening, this is the Sunday open right here. I'm going to go and draw an arrow. Yay. Here we go. Sunday open right there. Comes in to kind of a mishmash of not only the weekly over under, but just the edge of support one. Didn't really come in and penetrate further, but came in And right around this spot, this is where my co-founder and I, we actually went and took the trade. Really nice action. It was very calm around, it was the early Sunday PM. And this is one of the trades that we love to do, is if we could get an early Sunday PM trade and be able to get something off, like in terms of risk or even a target, then we could just go to sleep, perform the ostrich approach, which is just let the trade go, see how far it fucking goes. We have a lot of stats on this trade. We cannot share it. In the future, though, we might set up some sort of service where we do open the books to show our stats, but it's not going to be anything anytime soon. But this long, we took it at 61.65. I believe my friend Mohammed took it at 61.68. This came in, took out the very first inflection to the upside, 63.21, before it kind of pulled back. This was Monday's action. Tuesday's action took out 2 more targets. And this is the spot where we were going to likely roll over for the V contract into the X. Knocked out 2 targets. 64.69 was the other target. 64.76 was the high of the week. So the high of the week was marked within 7 cents of one of these levels. The low of the week was marked within, I can't see, my eyes are deceiving me. I think it was marked within like 10 cents of the 10 cents of the low, or the low was marked within 10 cents of that level. Pretty fucking accurate, I must say. This is where my co-founder friend and I fucked up. This up here gave us an idea that this is likely done, and we were going to take a short. But we didn't, for 2 reasons. First, just the way that the market has been behaving, it looked like it was breaking out of balance and heading to the upside. So there was some context that said maybe this is not out of gas. However, we had a signal. So we both agreed we need to trade like retards. We can't be too smart. And I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but sometimes you just gotta be a simple-minded fucking retard.
Hey, breakfast!
And just take the trade when you see your signal. I mean, we're doing quant stuff. Quant stuff relies on math, probability. That's it. You see it, you could program a computer, take the trade, the math works out over however many samples. But there's always the human aspect, when we turn on the computer or turn on the system or decide to enter upon ourselves. Yeah, well, the human aspect came and kind of punched us in the fucking nuts. It didn't really, because punching us in the fucking nuts means that we would lose. I guess the fact is the first world problem comes around that we lost the opportunity to make money on the downside. Damn it. I hate that. But hey, you know what? Count my blessing. Got a nice trade that knocked out 1, 2, 3 targets to the upside. I should be fucking happy. And I am. This was the closing action on the X contract before the quants decided to go to the V contract. So here is the V contract with the updated levels. And I just showed the V contract. Here's still the highs relative to their 64.40. It knocked it by a tick. 64.41. Holy shit. The open of the next session, which was on Wednesday, the Tuesday evening into the Wednesday morning, gave us the opportunity to short, and we didn't take it. And what did this thing do? Came into tag 1 level. The action of the Wednesday, that was the EIA, which kind of stalled out here, still showing that this is not making any new highs against these 2 other highs. Came back in, didn't really hit this target yet. This target is at 62.90. The threshold is 63.10. Ooh, came in with a win and a tick, and then came right back on up. Still, we're seeing overall lower highs against here. This high was lower against this. This guy was higher against this, but overall lower against this and the previous ones. Eventually, this thing lost its ass and started to tag the other lower inflections. And on the updated inflections for the X contract, actually nailed 62.31 today. Right over here. So, note to self, trade like you have IQ of 60, take the fucking signal, get your risk off, and just be a simple-minded retard. Don't be too smart. Man, yeah, whatever, Maybe next week I won't make the same mistake. Missed out on $2, 200 ticks. That is $10 a tick. That is $2,000 per contract. Normally and I'm going to say it, I don't carry everything to the furthest level. That's really hard to do. Normally you take the trade, take risk off, get some off at one, get some off at the next. I think out of a normal size trade that I would do, I'd have one contract left. And even if you have one contract left, getting a target at the end of the week, man, that's great. But what are you going to do, Anyways, that concludes my video for the rest of the week. My founder friend and I, we are going to do some videos on the weekend. We're going to do probably like a longer Zoom meeting where both him and I might be on webcam and share some thoughts about where the market's going. I also might do a video on my overall setup, like how many charts I have, what I look at, what are the indicators that I use, and so on and so forth, and how my co-founder friend and I trade, and what we look at. So anyways, I hope you have a lovely end of the Friday. I hope the market has been good to you guys and girls, and I'll be ending this session. Take care. Have a good one.